Hello, I'm Adam White. Welcome to Spring TV on sport927.com.au. We're coming from the middle of the city today as we've just had the final word press conference ahead of tomorrow's massive Amy Victoria Derby Day. We're going to start by talking to Wayne Hawkes this morning. We did chat to him yesterday and he was super confident about marching going into the Derby, but things may have changed just a little bit. We've had 8 mils of rain fall in the city overnight. Will that affect marching's chances? This is what Wayne Hawkes had to say this morning.
Guys at Fleming say that the clouds above us are just clouds, and that's what they are. They're not going to drop on us. So hopefully they're right. Marching's only had one bad run. That was at the Size Produce in Sydney on Doncaster Handicap Day, and that was a terrible track. And it won't be like that for the Derby, but I would still rather it be a good track. The guys say if nothing happens with the weather, it'll be a good 3, and that'll suit us just fine.
Is that the only thing that can beat him, the weather on the track?
There's always plenty that can beat you. I had what's called Head Turner, should have won the race a couple of years ago, and he just was a good thing beat in Benicio's Derby. But we've been beaten before with better chances. But you need to have a good run. You don't need to have the extra luck. You just need no bad luck. But the biggest thing with marching really is he's got to run the 2500, which they all do. But some are going to run it faster than others. So if he's at the 300 metre mark and Damien hasn't fully let go and hit the go button, I think you better get in the queue.
So there you have the final word there from Wayne Hawkes. So what about Corey Brown? He's riding for Lee Freedman tomorrow. He rides Stockade. He had the choice out of the Freedman pair, and this is what he had to say about riding Stockade in the Amy Victoria Derby.
Hopefully I'll just pop out and follow marching. I'm sure they'll ride him in the first sort of half a dozen of the field. And ideally I should get the perfect run behind marching and just hope he can take me in the race at the right time.
I spoke to Darren McElroy yesterday. He said he was really disappointed he didn't have Stockade because he rates his chances. Do you go in, you confident or are you just sort of hopeful?
Oh, look, I'm hopeful. I've got one positive, like he definitely see the trip out. He's very relaxed and I know he'll see the 2500 out. So that's one plus in itself. He's drawn the right gate and like I said, he'll follow the favourite pretty much wherever he goes. So we'll cross our fingers from here on in.
You had the choice between the 2 of the 3 horses. Was it a tough call or were you always pretty confident to get on Stockade?
Look, I was always pretty confident to stay on Stockade. I liked his win. He went back from a bad gate and circled the field at Geelong. Didn't really have much taking him into the race. The other horse I know was strung up in behind them and didn't have a lot of luck till about the 400, but I still thought he had his chance to beat Stockade, and that's why I elected to stay with Stockade.
Still maybe better. Are you confident or hopeful that he's going to get back to his best after the slip-up?
Well, I couldn't be confident because I don't actually ride the horse track work, and although Brian's ensured me that it's just a blimp on the radar and he's back to normal, like I said, I couldn't be confident because I don't get to ride him work and I couldn't be my own judge on how he's going. Look, I'm hopeful that he'll get back. I know he can do it, and like I said, Brian has ensured me that he's back to 100%. So.
Well, he concentrated yesterday on Kibbutz for David Hayes, where Craig Williams will take the ride. But Craig had some interesting comments to make today at the press conference about Miss Finland going into the McKinnon Stakes. He really does believe that she'll be back to her best tomorrow, which will mean she'll run in the Melbourne Cup. Here's Craig Williams from today's press conference.
She is trained on really well from the Cox Plate. It's taken no ill effect. She's actually, to me, I've done a lot of work with this week. I felt that I can't fault her at all. She's very happy in the paddock, she's happy in her work, and most importantly, with the new gear change David's applied the Norton bit, I find her a lot more relaxed, and I've been really happy to go around this week in track work, and I'll be really disappointed if she doesn't show the true colours of Miss Finland on Saturday.
So there you have it. It looks like Miss Finland will be back to her best, where she did so well in the Oaks last year over the Melbourne Cup Carnival. Well, what about Mark Kavanagh? We've said it all spring. He's certainly been one of the real headline acts of the Carnival. He's got Devil Moon in the McKinnon Stakes and also Divine Madonna in the Maya Classic. He's confident with both his star pair going into tomorrow.
Let's have a look at the Maya Classic because Mark Kavanagh's got the 2.2 favourite here in Divine Madonna. She's short enough, Mark, but she's got the class, hasn't she?
Well, she has, Bruce, and it's always been a favourite option to go that way. For her to meet mares at level weights is just fabulous in a Group 1 race. Look, she was beaten in this race last year due to on-pace bias, and I'm just hoping that the track presents itself favourably for a swooper tomorrow.
Devil Moon, it's accepted now that she was in season last week in the Cox Plate. Is that the case? And Did you know pre-race?
Well, no, we didn't know pre-race, and you know, it's just one of those circumstances that's quite bizarre, really, for it to happen in a Cox Plate. First hot day of the season, just made her a little bit thoughtful of what she probably could have been doing, but I think she'll be on the ball tomorrow.
Was it only the case that she was swishing the tail when Hugh was trying to get her to relax that told you that, or that she just wasn't happy?
Oh no, she wasn't happy in the run. You know, it's just hard to say. It was just out of character for her.
Well, given that, she would have been satisfied enough with the performance?
Yeah, I was satisfied with the performance. It was a farcically run race, and I think back to Flemington, a little bit more pace on tomorrow, she'll go much better.
Unbeaten on the new track, on speed, and also on the day when they swoop, so she's got all the ticks, hasn't she?
Well, that's right. You know, she's a good, honest, reliable mare that holds her form once she gets right.
So there is Mark Kavanagh. Talking about headline acts, what about Weekend Hustler? So dominant in the Caulfield Guineas earlier in the Spring Carnival. He's back in action at Flemington in the Ascot Vale Stakes, and Ross McDonald is confident he can do it again tomorrow.
You were on record as saying he's improved since the Caulfield Guineas.
Well, we rode him on the Tuesday after the Guineas was the first time we put a saddle on him, and Les Beer came in and said, "This horse is frightening." He said he feels better this morning than he did on the Saturday morning before the Guineas.
You didn't have to run him again after the Guineas, did you? But you've obviously taken that on board and said, well, let's have another dip.
Well, the horse has pulled up well, and we thought, you know, there's $1 million race on the last day of the carnival, so all going well, we'll run in that.
Back to 6 furlongs, up the straight at Flemington, not an issue to you?
Well, I'd like to take him out there Monday week ago, or like the week before, and they had the running rail down, we couldn't get on the track, so I didn't want to take him out breakfast with the stars. It meant he would have had to go out there twice in a week.
He's drawn out. I wouldn't presume that's any problem to you. I think you would prefer that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think it's a nice barrier for him because he can have a look and see where the field go and where they're going to race and take up his own position there.
Is he at all vulnerable tomorrow?
Well, the way Lee said, if the track's heavy, his horse is a good thing, so we'll just have to wait and see.
Okay, that's the final word from the trainers and jockeys going into Amy Victoria Derby Day, but what about the odds? Gary Davies from TAB Sportsbet joins us to go through the odds on the Derby, and there has been a few changes, Gaz.
Yes, thanks very much, Adam. Well, there has been some movement in the Victoria Derby because marching was $4 but drew beautifully in barrier 2, and that's meant it's $3.80 and favourite. Ahead of Kibbutz, who's been well back, 10,000 at $5.50 has brought it into $4. Villain's always been in the market, $4.25 third pick. Latorio, a $7 chance right in the market also. Stockade was $13 after the Geelong Classic win, into $10 and finally into $9, so good money there for Stockade. No money for the roughies. Bamagira at $17. His Sonic is at $21 and then $26 or better than rest of them, right down to $201 for the outsider of the field. But the favourite certainly is the John Hawkes trained Marching.
Thanks to Gary Davies there from TAB Sportsbet. That wraps it up for this edition of Spring TV from the middle of the city, but we'll be back here again on Monday for the Melbourne Cup Parade as we continue the build-up to the first Tuesday in November, only on sport927.com.au.